Now, if you're a beginner and you're starting calisthenics, I highly recommend that you get a set of rings. The amount of exercises that you can do for the upper body, there's also a few for the lower body, but for the upper body, it's one of the best pieces of equipment you can have. And today I'm going to show you the beginner movements that you should be working on, or at least ticking off that you can do. I should be able to get this strap in here. And let's start off with the static positions. So make sure the rings are level and we want them at height so we can get to tiptoes in the support position. Get the straps out the way and position the rings so they're nice and close together. What we don't want is to have the rings over here. But ideally, we want to be able to go into this position with no gap between our arms and our torso. So setting the rings there is a mistake. And then we're just going to go into the position. I'm going to bring the palms by my side, still on tiptoes. I'm going to bring the shoulders back and down and the chest open. If I needed to there, I could raise the feet up slightly, or obviously you can change the height of the rings, but this way I can keep the rings the same and just fine tune them and step off the plate as I get a bit stronger in the position. So arms pulled into the side, chest open, shoulders back and down, ideally lift off. So this is seen as the top support position, and it's very important because it's like a home position when we're above the rings. And a great option if you struggle with any of these movements is to have P-bars as well. The higher P-bars can mimic most of the ring exercises, but they're more stable, so much easier. So if you struggled with that top support, you could start here first, build conditioning and strength before moving over to the rings. And ideally we want to be building this up so we can hold for around 30 seconds time under tension. Now if you do need that assistance, you can use toe assist. We can go back to the P-bars, or I could place a band between the rings, step onto the band, use that for assistance. Now this is doing two things. It's helping me, giving me a little bit of a push up, but it's also, as I stand on the band, pulling the rings together. Because what's going to happen when you try and do it is they're going to spray out to the side. Another way of doing it is actually getting someone to hold their hands here and push in on your hands or on the rings into your side, because that's easy. This is hard when the hands start coming away. So we need to push into the side as we keep the chest open, shoulders back and down. Now we can build upon that support position with L-sit. So obviously tuck is going to be the easiest position. And then as we extend the legs outwards, the lever arm gets heavier and longer. So the demand on the core is higher. So we can go here, hold for time, slowly open the legs out until we can hold with straight legs. And again, we can practice those positions on the P-bars. But what you'll find is a lot of these movements are going to work as the base or the foundation to the harder exercises. So if you can't do this standard support position, you're not going to be able to do an L-sit until you have that as a base. So first get that standard support position and then add on the L-sit. Next, let's go upside down on the rings. So we're aiming for a candle or soldier position. So I'm going to walk forwards, I'm going to turn the hands over, I'm going to walk backwards. Now, hopefully my head doesn't touch the floor. Okay, so just raise them up a little bit, not too much. We don't want to make it too hard at the moment. So I'm going to walk in, notice the hands turn, turn again, walk backwards. And now, with the rings directly underneath the attachment point, I can step into the inverted position and I can open the legs up to that soldier candlestick position. Palms are pushed into the side. It helps a little bit here if I look up towards my toes, because as I'm looking up towards my toes, I'm like in this hollow body position, so like this. Now that inverted position can be entered from this way, or it can be entered from the way I demonstrated at the start, so this way. And this one's probably easier for most people to start with, but we do need to practice the exit on both sides and ideally go between them. Now this position here is our third static position, the German hang. So in this position, I can wind up the shoulders for a great stretch, but it's also the bottom of our skin the cat. So a skin the cat movement takes us from the German hang, so here, to this hanging position and back again. Now I am being restricted by the floor, but I'm not expecting you to be able to do that one yet, but I have another video on that one specifically. I'll link that down in the description. But spending time in that German hang, so we can go in this way, watch the hands again, turn the hands, walk backwards, sit in that position, and I can just hang here. Now you will see some people will do it this way around. That's much more intense on the bicep. I wouldn't start with that one. I'd focus on this one to start with and just have like 50% of your weight, and you can exit by letting go of the rings as well. Now the higher the ring's up, the more intense that stretch is going to be. So then we have the top support position, we have the L-sit, we have the German hang, and we have the inverted hang. And then the other two positions you'll hear people talk about is the front lever and the back lever. So they're the other two static positions. There is a prerequisite to do these. You need to be able to hold yourself in a tuck with your hips in line with your shoulders. So the tuck front lever is seen as this position there. So I'm in a tight tuck, hips are in line with shoulders, arms are dead straight. And then I'll just be holding that for time. Now, if you're totally new to this style of training, that's not going to come straight away. But like the L-sit, we need to work on those basic positions, those foundations first, and then progress to something like that. Then we have the back lever, go on the other side. Actually, let me show you this way. Might be better for you to see. So, inverted position, and then tight tuck. And then I'm going to go over till my hip is in line with my shoulder. Now, it's actually really hard to know when your hip's in line with your shoulder. So if you are working things like the back lever and front lever, it's good to video directly from the side, have the camera at the same height, or get someone to tell you or spot you lightly into the position. But that's more important when you are starting to work seriously on the back lever and the front lever positions. And again, I have separate videos on that. I'll link them down below. So there are our main static positions. Now when you go into the dynamic positions, what's seen more as the strength exercises. So number one, the ring row. So nice and simple here. Chest is going to be touching the rings, and then I'm going to come backwards, round the upper back, and then pull back to that start position, touching the rings, coming back down, wait for the aeroplane to fly over. Now if this is too easy, I can make it harder by straightening the body more and walking the feet underneath. So the further I walk the feet down, the harder that is to pull all the way to the rings. But that's the cool thing about the rings, is that we can progressively go to harder and harder, or easier variations if we need to, depending on the length of the straps and how far we walk our feet forwards and backwards. Now if that's too easy for you, you can walk all the way under, you can raise the feet up. We can take the rows all the way to doing things like single arm variations, front lever rows and things like that, but a lot of people will just progress their rows until they can do chin-ups. So for the chin-up, it can be done in a couple of different ways on the rings. The basic chin-up is seen as going from a hanging position and then pulling until your chest touches the ring. But you can also do single ring versions, and obviously we can keep progressing that to things like archer chins and even one arm chin-ups, but that's far down towards that pointy end of the strength skills. We then have the opposing movements. So the opposing movement to the row, or the opposite, would be the push-up. And just like the row, we can make it nice and easy by walking forwards a long way for the push-up. So there. Now I can progressively make it harder by walking backwards until I'm at a point where I'm level or parallel with the floor. Now it is slightly easier because my feet are lower than my hands, and I can make that harder by elevating. Now again, clean technique. I like to kiss the rings together at the top, come all the way down to the bicep touches the ring, and then all the way back up to that light kiss at the top for repetitions. Now you can progress to archer push-ups, but most people are going to go from a push-up to a dip progression, where we start in that top support position, we come down, touch biceps to the ring, and then push all the way back up to top support. Now with any of these strength movements, it's worth practicing the bottom position as well. So the bottom position is where you change direction. So for the dip, it's going to be here. Just spending time in this position and make this strong is going to make it much easier when you're working your dips, whether you're doing an eccentric, starting in that top support and lowering down to that bottom bent arm support position, hold, step back out, or you're actually doing full repetitions. Having a strong, stable position to go to is going to be really important. And again, we can practice those progressions on the P-bars using toe assist, doing slow eccentrics before moving across to the rings. Now, if you're after more help with your ring training, I have ring programs on my app taking you towards things like muscle ups and more advanced progressions. And if you're after more help with your training, I also offer online coaching. Links are all down in the description, or you can go to my website, www.paultwyman.com.au. Let me know if you have any questions or requests down below in the comments, and I'll speak to you in the next one.